Nona Peltier has joined me in the studio to talk business. Nona, Westpac Group, so $250 million, a lot of zeros in that. They put that aside as part of the compensation payouts for Australian customers.
That's right.
After the inquiry. So what's the latest?
Well, so they've put aside this 260 million Australian dollars for this first half that ended in March. So that's what they're saying is going to hit their underlying earnings. That's their cash earnings. Now, that's in addition to 118 million set aside in 2017 and 281 million set aside last year as well. So that I make that at 659 million. But it's not going to be enough. That's just another number they're throwing out there. In addition, they still haven't quantified how much they're going to have to pay out for the fees, that overcharging that their self-employed representatives, these are people that don't work for them but represent them, have also overcharged customers. In the 10 years ending in 2018, that was about $1 billion in fees. Now, how much of those fees were overcharged, we don't know, but there will be interest on whatever the overcharging was. And so, yeah, it's a major hit to that company. And you could expect that that's like we haven't heard the end there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a rolling snowball that just keeps getting bigger.
Well, you know, misconduct's misconduct. You've got to pay eventually. Somebody eventually will be, you know, catch you. And that's what we've seen with the Royal Commission there. And, yeah, the fallout will continue for sure.
Changes to the way the government contracts for goods and services are underway. So what can we expect? What's in the works?
Okay, so contracts sound kind of boring, but really they're important.
You said it.
They're important because when, for example, when Fletcher Building went out of the building and interiors business, they talked about the problems they had with their contracts. And we've seen other contractors, construction firms complaining about the onerous contracts that they have signed with government now. So this is a way of reviewing the way that the government contracts for goods and services. They're going to be looking at more than just value for money. So it's going to be more about having a contract that really, you know, screws down the amount of money that the government's going to have to pay. Now they're going to be looking at other things. For example, a company that provides training and skills, opportunities for Maori Pacific Island groups, looking at things like how they can help the government advance towards its goals for sustainable development and environmental growth.
So money's not just going to be the bottom line. What can we achieve with this?
Yeah, exactly. And also there's going to be standardized contracts for public-private partnerships, which has been a kind of a gray area. The consumers don't necessarily like it. There's been a lot of criticism about the way that those contracts can or could be potentially negotiated. So it's going to be really interesting to see where that lands. We haven't seen those drafts yet, but we're going to see that from that infrastructure council, or that arm of government that's being established to look at infrastructure. And one of the things that's going to be important there is standardized contracts. That's something the industry has been asking for, and we're going to see that. Now, the submissions on those submissions on how those contracts are going to roll out have closed, and the cabinet can expect to see some recommendations from the Ministry of Business, implement MBIE, whatever. Yep. You know who I'm talking about.
MBIE.
That's it, MBIE. They're going to be giving cabinet some draft suggestions there on how those contracts should be rolled out in May for them to consider. So that's what we had today.
What about on the markets, Nona?
Interesting day in the markets. Investors have dumped shares because they don't like the signs out of the U.S. economy. Some negative information there. And, so the market has had a bit of a tumble. And, U.S. stocks turned negative late on Friday, and we saw that roll right through here into Asia. Now, the New Zealand market, though, it didn't do as badly as some of the others. We're down 1/3% at the close, 32 points to 9,519. Now, when we closed just after 5, the ASX was down 1.15%, so that's substantially more. And certainly through Asia, we are seeing big drops there too. Our dollar, however, is holding pretty steady. We've seen this all along. 68.8 US cents, 97.1 Australian, and 52.1 pence, which is about where we were on Friday.
Yeah, hovering around the same numbers.
Exactly.
Thanks, Nona. Nona Peltier with your business there.